So we're in the thick of Virgo season, according to the tropical astrology, um, and it's been it's been challenging, and it will continue to be challenging. I am a pretty intensified Virgo rising in tropical astrology, and Virgos really they get credit for a lot of being really organized and attention to detail and things like that, but Virgos really are, their whole thing is sacred work, like doing the work in service to spirit and really being of service to others as well. The other side of that is being a martyr. So you have to really balance, with the boundaries, of course, your own sense of self with how much you can do for others without draining your energy, because it won't help others if you're not coming with a full cup. So Virgos are also really the high priest, high priestess. So they were the ones in charge of the ceremonies and the rituals that would keep the community in line with the flow state. And in this reality, we are coming on 9/11, and that to me was my first whoa, what's going on here? And I think a lot of others too started to really question. And yeah, so there's a lot of ways that time has been manipulated, history's been manipulated, our history. What happens is people forget. People forget what happened, and it gets lost, and then a new kind of concise history takes over that leaves out a lot of these other stories. But these stories, we are in the information age, and these stories still exist in old newspaper articles, on microfiche, in old books. There are books going back to 5000 BC. And I'm getting a strong agreement from the bird tribes right now, and the cat. And the cat. Yeah, the kitty tribes. Anyway, so Virgo season is really recognizing patterning, sacred patterning. Everything is patterns because we live in a very mathematical environment. We have a lot of sacred geometry, both in our bodies and around us, in the plants. There's also a lot of mirroring, like foods mirror our internal, like organs and things, like walnuts in the brain. An apple cut in half, you can see the toroidal field. It's a core, and then there's the fruit of the apple going around. That is actually very symbolic for the toroidal field. The heart is actually, they're learning more about the heart, and it's actually a vortexing energy. It's actually spinning the blood clockwise going one way and counterclockwise going in or out. I can't remember which way, but it actually, if you, they've dissected a heart, and it'll roll out into a circle, which is amazing. It's like a circle with a hole in it. And it's really vortexing. So it's the central toroidal field. It's like the center of the toroidal field. It's really pushing it out, pushing our energy fields out. So anyways, in Virgo season, bringing this all back in, sacred patterning, understanding patterns, and you can see where they're off, and you are able to correct them and put it back in alignment. So this is the gift of Virgo. If you have a lot of Virgo and you're not doing ceremony, some kind of ritual, and a lot of us Virgos get turned off from that because we know about when energy is used and manipulated in the dark way, in the dark forces. using not so high vibrational energies. So there's ways to do ritual wrong or not in the highest and greatest good for everybody, and using magic to hurt people. And then there's the other side of that, because everything is polarized in this reality. Everything is yin and yang. You know, there's the light and the dark. Originally, dark just meant the other side of light. It wasn't didn't have evil connected to it, but evil spelled backwards is live. So, you know, there's a lot of little tricks in our language that really talk about and reveal uh, sacred truths. Meow. Kitty says meow. So in this Virgo season, it's really good to notice our patterns, to see where the pattern began too, because we can really go back to the beginning of where a dysfunction started and actually just change it. This gets into Mandela effects, which have been talked about a lot lately in the more mainstream. And here's a Mandela effect. The heart used to be on one side, now it's in the center in anatomy charts. So there's a lot of Mandela effects, hundreds and thousands of Mandela effects. I personally think Mandela effects are a sign of retrocausality, that we can change, like in our worlds, we can change the past, how we feel about it, what happened, and it will totally change the future and the present moment. That's why we do work on trauma and drama from the past, because it actually will shift your present and future. Because in vibrational physics, past, present, and future are all one. It's all here in the field, in the toroidal field, in the energy field. So if you don't resolve things and you're always going to the past because it's not resolved, you're always recreating it. So when you change it, you can actually move on from that and be more present and show up fully present. So Virgos have a lot of power. They have a lot of power in the astrology, in the wheel of the 12 tribes, which now I have learned some old information, which I didn't really, I just kind of put it aside, but it's coming forth again for me to look at. And that is, there is this understanding that actually astrology is not as ancient as they have told us. It's not, you know, going back to thousands of years ago. It more showed up when the Bible was created. So it's, and some say the Bible is an allegory to the story of astrology. The sun is, you know, the sun is the god, you know, and how the story of, you know, the different apostles and things are all like planets, and so it's this whole thing. But it's also, originally there were 13 signs. Now this gets complicated because if you're doing like 12 sign house astrology, you know, it may not resonate with a lot of people, with everyone, because there's actually a 13th sign. But it makes it so it's not so tidy in the charts. They're not 30 degrees each. And it's already so complicated, right? But Virgos, you understand complicated things. So, you know, I'm ready to tackle it and integrate it into my astrology practice, because I can't deny that this existed. It's in the old books. You know, it's definitely like been, and it's also why sometimes, you know, astrologers, tropical astrologers would be like, oh, now the sun, or not the sun, but like a planet is here in this constellation. And you look at the constellations and you're like, no, it's not. And it's because they're going off a model that is ignoring, it's not paying attention necessarily to the constellations. It's going with just how the cycles move and how the planets move. So it's not actually what's happening. And this created a conflict in my understanding of astrology and and astronomy. And these were one thing back in the ancient times. And that was the whole point. These energies are here in this heavens, it's affecting us down below, as above, so below. So, what is it when, and I don't like it, that, it gets all touted, okay, so Mercury's here, and then everybody's talking about it, all the astrologers, but it's really not there yet. It's really still in another constellation. So, I think that it's important to stay open and to really, honor this 9/11 with being open-minded to the ways we're being manipulated, because it is a thing. We want to believe that, people have our best interest in mind, but really we live in this incredibly complex, multi-dimensional reality, full of magic, full of mystery. We got all the ancestors around, we have spirit guides, we got the nature spirits, and there's the hawk. We got all these things going on, and why deny that, So it's good to stay open, and it's good to just, be curious about this realm. It's amazing. It's actually really magical. And there's a lot more to our history, and that includes astrology, than we've been told.